T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. All three engines up and burning. 2, 1, 0, and...
Welcome, everybody. We are your hosts, Rockinmrmagic.
UNIQDNA.
This is the original Jeek podcast.
Gang. I don't see no competition in my face. If we do, then we just move them out the way. I don't even need no money in my face. Hold on. Give me the money when I finish with the gang.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the original Jeek podcast. I am your host, Rockinmrmagic. I'm flying not solo, but I'm flying without my tag team partner, my main man, UNIQDNA, today. In his place, I have a great friend of mine. Me and the homie go back 20 years, maybe more now. I'm losing count. But I want to introduce you to another old school Jeek, my man, Big Ish. Ish, welcome to the show, man.
What's up, everybody? What's good? Thank you, brother, for having me on. I truly appreciate that. You know, I'm a part of that black nerd fraternity, you know, going back to the days of Tri Lambda Lamb, you know what I mean?
Blurred life, what?
So I'm blessed and I'm happy to be chilling with my brother for a couple of hours to talk about all this good stuff. Me personally, I've been a nerd since I was in my mom's womb, man. I've just, you know what I mean, going back to when she took us to see Empire Strike Back. That was like my first kind of movie into that world. Mm-hmm. And I've just been hooked on ever since, man. Going to like the X-Men cartoons that used to come on Fox. That was
so dope.
Can I curse? Oh, no. No cursing?
Well, this is a family show. So,
okay, so no cursing.
So if it slips, we edit out. But this is a family show.
Because I had to stop myself a little bit.
Yeah. We got to censor ourselves, as Eddie said.
But yeah, it's just the X-Men cartoon, from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the gaming. Like my first actual gaming growing up was the Commodore 64.
Oh, the Commodore! Oh yeah.
Yes. My game used to be Conan. Yeah. Because remember back in the days when you had a Commodore 64, you had to input all these
all the codes. Yep.
To play the game.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
You had to have half the game. You had to program yourself.
Yes, you had to, and that took like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That was longer than the actual game.
Yes. All right, we put in 20 minutes of code. All right, 5 minutes of gameplay. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And then from there, the Atari, you know, have fond memories of Atari. I didn't have an Atari, but my uncle had one at the whole house in Newark. And me and my brother would sneak in his room when he was gone to play the Atari.
There you go.
And then we would try to put the controllers away, act like we never was in the room, but he would always find out we were always in the room. But, you know, we didn't care.
One of y'all left the sticks pointing in the wrong direction or something.
Wrong direction, yeah. Being nervous, the controller's all sweaty and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, somebody been there.
Yep, exactly. So tell us a little bit about your jock side, your athletic side, because you know I know you personally, you know, of your skills on the court, but you know.
Oh yeah. I've been balling's been in my blood since I was little, man. I always enjoyed playing ball with my big brother on the court. He was just like way better than me, but playing with him got me better. And then I got the benefit of going to St. Pat's in Elizabeth for a year. So, you know, that opened my eyes to like legit balling, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
High school ball, and then there's high school ball.
Right.
And St. Pat's is known one of the top basketball high schools on the planet.
Exactly.
And get to watch like players like Shaheem Holloway.
Oh, Shaheem Holloway was dope, man.
He was a beast. To see him up and personal, because when I was a freshman, he was a sophomore there, and just see how that school just went like far and beyond into where it's now today. It's just crazy. And so
did I ever tell you my Shaheem Holloway story?
No, tell me.
Well, so obviously this is way before we met, but so his senior year, you know, he was a McDonald's All-American.
Mm-hmm.
I was still living in Pittsburgh, and I was I want to say 13 years old.
Right.
Maybe just turned 14, but the McDonald's All-American game was in Pittsburgh that year.
Okay.
So my father got us tickets. We went to see the game.
Oh, nice.
So that was Shaheen Holloway, Kobe.
Nice.
Let's see who else was there. Jermaine O'Neal.
Nice.
Let's see, and other cats who became nothing like Lester Earl and.
Right. Was Tim Thomas there?
No, it wasn't Tim Thomas. There was a Nate. I forget his name, but he was. There was some other cats, but Kobe, Shaheen Holloway, and Jermaine O'Neal were they were the biggest names there.
Yes.
And I hadn't seen Shaheen play before, so. And Kobe's there, so everyone's expecting Kobe to just dominate and destroy this game.
Oh yeah.
Kobe takes a finger to the eye. 4 minutes into the game, doesn't play the rest of the game.
Right.
So this game turns from what everyone expects it to be about Kobe.
Right.
It turns into the Shaheen Holloway show.
Not surprised.
He ended up winning the MVP of the game. His team wins the game, he was on Kobe's side. His team wins the game, and he was killing. My dad looked at me and was like, I had never heard this kid before. This kid can play.
And I had the luxury to see him for that 1 year. I went to St. Pat's for a year as a freshman. So it was definitely a luxury. And then fast forward, my brother went to UConn, University of Huskies, UConn Huskies.
Yep.
And I went to his college a couple of times and played ball with the players there, because when he went there, Ray Allen was still there.
Ray Allen was still there, yeah.
Yes, and then the boys there, so I was able to play with them a little bit here and there too. So I got a chance to play with people that was tremendously better than me, and just show my stuff at the same time. So it kind of, I'm kind of low key about it. I don't tell a lot of people that. I try to keep it. Now the whole world knows, but I try to keep it low key about that. But I'm a b-ball junkie, man. And then going back to the N1, you remember the N1?
Of course,
the original one.
Oh yeah, not the tour, not the TV show on ESPN. Yeah,
I'm talking about when we went to Foot Locker to get the actual
to buy the tape, right?
Not the CD.
The tape.
The tape. Yes.
Yeah, you gotta get that VHS tape. Well, how much the tape? Do I have to buy the kicks to get the tape? Because I'm really here. Because I'm really here for the tape. I really don't want to buy the kicks.
I just want the DVD.
I just want this VHS. I just want the mixtape. I really, really don't want to buy a pair of N1 shoes.
Yes, nah. I never liked N1 anyway. I just wanted the mixtape.
Well, I did like their shirts. I had an N1 shirt collection. I actually caught heat from my parents because I was getting some of the stronger trash talk ones.
Right.
And then I got one, and I go down, to go downstairs. I'm still in high school. I go downstairs. I'm going getting ready, to go to school. And my mom looks at the back of my shirt and it says, "I'm going to take two things, this game and your girl." My mom's like, "What? What is this you going to be wearing to school?" My dad was like, "It's no big deal. It's just, it could say a whole lot worse. It's fine." Their shirts were fire. Their shoes, not so much. But yeah, I mean, when they were shooting, gully spots. I mean, they were at 155th.
Yes.
They were at the Cage.
Yes.
They were at the Rucker.
Yeah.
And those OG cats, I miss those days because those were street ballers who could ball.
Yeah, man.
And do street ball.
Yes.
When they were doing that whole tour and stuff, you had a whole bunch of cats that really couldn't play ball.
No,
they're just trick ballers.
Yeah, that wasn't a real one. No,
they weren't the real ones.
Like rest in peace, Escalade, man. Give it up to the big dudes.
Yeah, man. Troy Jackson, rest in peace.
Dudes, yes,
people don't realize how good Troy was, man. He was,
man.
Especially in his Stunner days. Whew.
Yeah, man.
He could play.
Yeah, man.
All right, well, now, Jeek Nation, you are introduced to Big Issue. You may have seen him in the community on Facebook. If you haven't joined our Facebook community, it's easy to find. You can follow us, our page at Jeek Nation on Facebook and on the Twitter, and Jeek Nation community on Facebook. Join. It's a great place to communicate with other fellow Jeeks. So when you trying to have those conversations about the NFL, and suddenly it turns into a conversation about One Piece. Know that there are other people who can have that same conversation in the Jeek Nation community on Facebook. So, Big Ish, we're going to jump into our first topic of the
All
pod
right.
today. You and I have been, going back and forth all week about this, and that's Wrestlemania. Kofi Mania. No, we leaving him in the past right now. We talking about Kofi Mania.
Yes.
So, give me 3 reactions from WrestleMania that just really jumped out to you.
Emotions, bored, frustrated, and emotional, especially the Kofi match when he won the title. I thought that was, honestly, I thought that should have ended WrestleMania. I know we talked about that earlier.
Best match of the night.
That was like the highlight of the entire night.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody was hoping he was going to win. A lot of people thought he wasn't going to win. And then to find out at the end he won, it was just like a historical moment. I don't know. It was huge. It felt like, I know you probably going to be like, whatever. But it felt like when Obama became president, you know what I mean, that a person of color, that looks like us can achieve something like that. And I thought that was pretty awesome.
Okay, well, I wasn't gonna go directly that way with this
because I know you don't like Obama. So that's
no. You know me. I can't stand it. Pretty much any politician. I don't care if it's Obama, Trump, Booker, Harris, Pelosi,
I know.
Cruz. Yeah, I got 2 words to super kicks for all of them. But I had similar reactions to you to WrestleMania. Obviously, there was a moment of elation for Kofi Kingston. He's been a favorite of mine since he came out. I was so glad when they let him shed the fake Jamaican thing.
Yes.
Let the brother acknowledge that he's from Ghana.
He's African.
Yes, he's African. Let him acknowledge it. I've never been the biggest fan of all aspects of the New Day gimmick, but I love the fact that they got themselves over when Vince wasn't going to get them over.
Yes.
I was very frustrated with the women's match at the end. I thought it had the potential. And I earned more respect than I already had for Charlotte Flair and her in-ring work because she carried that match. If Charlotte Flair is not in that final match, that match is a dumpster fire. Not knocking Becky Lynch, but if that's Becky versus Ronda, it's a dumpster fire match. And also, my third reaction to the whole thing was confusion. Opening the show with Lesnar getting squashed. Having Kofi's match be in the middle of the show. That, having, because generally, as growing up as wrestling fans, we watched title shots came in order.
Yes.
The world title was always the main event.
I agree.
Then the IC belt was somewhere, near the end of the upper mid card. The tag titles were in the upper mid card, and then if you had a title match in the mid card, it was like either the women's title or like European title, cruiserweight title, something around that. That was the general format.
Yeah.
To have the belt with the most history in the company be the second one defended, and in the middle of the show, it's like, huh? I mean, Samoa Joe coming out right after that. Joe had a great match, perfect for his size and his opponent in Mysterio. But Samoa Joe, really above Kofi, Lashley, and Finn Balor, almost almost at the top of the card.
Right.
Tag titles after, bro, what is going on here? This is the card itself was just confusing. So I'm like, I don't. Now, granted, some people said, hey, well, they wanted to get the Kofi match in the middle because some people may start to want to leave. They'd already been there for, 4 hours. And maybe they just want to go after 4 hours, so they want to get that match out. Which okay, I mean that makes sense. But then you shouldn't have an 8-hour show either. Leaving people half dead at the end of the night.
Yeah.
But since you mentioned the historical moment, that's been, and if you don't happen to be, a black nerd, the Blurred title, you may not be aware of this great debate within the Blurred community. We don't have that in Jeek Nation just because we are jocks and geeks, and we all can fit within that. But the Blurred community, has a great debate on this black champion thing. And some people acknowledge The Rock as the first WWE black champion. Others do not. I'm going to put it out there. It's a silly debate. The reactions are different because when The Rock won the title, I was hyped, but it wasn't pushed as this great win for black folk.
No, because I think the problem too is that The Rock is considered a Samoan, and so
but he is Samoan. But
that's what I'm saying.
He is black.
Yes, but some people prefer to say his Samoan heritage first before his African heritage,
and that's on them because Rocky has never ever downplayed his blackness.
I agree,
and the WWE never did. When he came out, they said, "Here is the grandson of Peter Maivia. Here is the son of Rocky Soulman Johnson. His name is Rocky Maivia."
Right.
And then obviously he became The Rock, Rocky Maivia, and then just The Rock. But they have never downplayed his blackness as a company. And people are like, well, he wasn't booked as a black man. Well, how do you book a black man?
I know.
You booked the wrestler.
Right.
And unless we forget, when did he get over? When he was a member of the Nation of Domination, which was a Nation of Islam parody group. So don't tell me this dude ain't black and that he wasn't the first WWE black champion. He just wasn't, we weren't reacting the same way in 1998.
I agree.
I'm sorry, 1990, it was 98.
Yeah, it was 98. You're right.
It was 98. We weren't reacting the same way in 98 as Survivor Series, the way we're reacting now.
And then also you got to think too, like in the 90s, that's way before social media too.
Right.
So the only way you can like respond to that was through AOL and the dialogue.
Right.
Wait like 30 minutes to get on. You know what I mean? So.
And you were only chatting with your friends list anyway.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And then also we got to give love to Ron Simmons.
Oh yeah.
If it wasn't for Ron Simmons, because he was like the first.
He was the first world champion. In the territories. We had some guys that had major belts in other territories like Big Cat, Ernie Ladd, and others. But the first recognized
world champion
was Ron Simmons in WCW with that gorgeous WCW belt.
Yes.
That I thought looked so much better than Big Gold, but that's another conversation.
And then also Nation of Domination. He was the face of Nation Domination before Rock became the face.
Yes.
So
Ron ushered
that
transition for Rocky there, and they had a good feud when Rocky took over. Yeah, people do sleep on Ron Simmons, which is a shame because Ron was a trailblazer, for black wrestlers in that way. And I was shocked. I mean, I was a kid when they put the belt on, but I was shocked. I was like, because it's not like he beat nobody, or someone he was so much bigger than, like Flair. I mean, he beat Vader for that belt. That was no small feat because Vader was a big dude.
Oh my God, he was the man around that time, and he was like the face. And then WWE killed his character when he came to WWE.
Yeah, that was terrible. They didn't.
They did him dirty.
Yeah,
but that's for another podcast.
That's another story. So, Kofi's moment, it was fantastic. I understand that some people are like, well, Rock doesn't look like us as much. Okay, well, you know what? A lot of half black, half whatever brothers don't look exactly like the rest of us.
Not all black people look the same.
Exactly, it doesn't diminish their blackness.
No,
but this was a special moment because everyone in '98, everyone wanted The Rock to win, but we didn't think he was going to win.
Yes,
especially, and also his win wasn't as celebrated because he turned heel to win. Vince recreating '97, with the whole ring the bell with the sharpshooter.
Yes.
that's part of the reason why Rock's win is celebrated, because he turned heel doing it.
Yes.
Kofi came in to a match as a face, stole the crowd,
Yep.
and built a fever pitch over virtually just 2 months.
Right. No, you're right. You're right.
And did it as a face.
Right.
So that's going to be celebrated more. I don't know anybody that celebrates their, the heels' first title win. Like, people talk about Austin and Michaels at 14 and him getting it. People talk about Michaels and Hart at WrestleMania at the Iron Man match and his first win. But no one says, hey, like, no one talks about Kurt Angle's first title win because he was the heel.
He was heel. Yeah, you're right. You're definitely right.
No one says, oh, hey, let's talk about how historic this was. No, he was a heel. No, you weren't supposed to want him to win. So there's so many different optics when it comes to Rock's and Kofi's, and the fact is people shouldn't be diminishing either one's reign.
No.
And the fact that it's taken this, for 98 for Rock to 2019 for Kofi, the fact that it's taken all that time to have two Black world champions, essentially is the bigger problem than anything.
Because you have so many talented wrestlers. Like, if you go right to like Rock to the Ring of Honor, you got Jay Lethal. He lost the title at the at MSG, but he
won,
world champion. Yeah.
Oh yeah, longest reigning Ring of Honor champion, 2-time Ring of Honor champion. Like, he's the franchise there.
Yeah, man.
And Jay's a great example. And you've got guys who in WWE who, in my opinion, should have had title opportunities. They weren't perfect. For example, let's say Shelton Benjamin.
I agree.
Terrible on the stick, great in the ring.
I agree.
But like Brock, you can give him a manager, give him a Heyman type, give him somebody to talk for him, and he could have had a championship run. And some people count it. I don't count it as being, because I care about the WWE title. I don't care about the history of the big gold belt in WWF, because they made it a secondary belt. So the fact that Booker T never had the WWE championship irritates me.
I agree too.
The fact that Mark Henry never had the WWE championship irritates me. Like,
I agree.
Those are two guys that should have been the top guy in the company.
I agree. And if you think about it, if you go back to Mark Henry, he kind of carried that couple of months being kind of the face, but not really of that time.
Mm-hmm.
And he should have been. And
that Hall of Pain gimmick was fantastic.
It was perfect to the T. It fit him perfectly.
Yeah, and because he looks like a big, mean dude. Like, he doesn't look like Mark doesn't look like the nicest guy in the world. He is, but he don't look it. And
the beauty is that he channeled his inner Samuel L. Jackson.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that was the beauty of it. And then going back to Booker T, former heavyweight champion, 8-time World Tag Team champion, and
more than that.
Yeah,
8 with Harlem Heat, but he won tag titles with Goldust. He won tag titles with Test. He won tag titles with so many people.
Yeah, but then he comes to the WWE and they just do him like that, like, oh, just do spinning Roonies and that's it. Come on, man. He's better than that.
Well, that actually irritated me that they didn't put the title on him in the Booker T being Booker T gimmick. The fact that they made him King Booker and then put the belt on him, I didn't like that.
I agree.
I wanted the same "Can you dig that sucker dude" to be the champ as he was in WCW.
I agree.
I'm glad they didn't have him rocking them those Eddie Murphy Delirious style leather suits. That was terrible that he was rocking at the end of WCW. But that gimmick, that's the same dude that should have won the title.
I agree.
In WWF. King Booker was cool, but it wasn't Booker T.
No, it wasn't.
And
the one thing about Booker T is, like, he's a team player. He's gonna do whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, they could have did better for him. You know what I mean?
Well, speaking of doing better, there's been a lot of complaints from fans like us and others with the writing in WWE. And even for probably the past almost 2 years, I'd say, fans have been when things go wrong, I should say, fans of SmackDown Live have been chanting, tweeting out, "Fire Road Dogg." Well, the WWE has not fired Road Dogg, but Road Dogg, aka better known in real life as Brian James, former DX member, multiple-time tag team champion of the world, has resigned from his essentially head writer role at SmackDown Live. What is your reaction to such a big shakeup when it comes to the writing of SmackDown, which has been, despite complaints, which has been the better show?
I agree. I think it's far better than Raw. Number two, I think personally, I don't blame him. I think it's more Vince's fault because he's more hands-on everything. Because there's stories going on where they wrote a script and then a couple of minutes before on air, Vince changes it. Because if you go back to 2006, that's when he got hired to be co-head writer of SmackDown. Him and another gentleman, I forgot his name.
No, not in 06.
Huh?
Not
2016.
06.
No,
Yeah,
I said
16.
2016.
No, you said 06, but you meant 16. Okay.
16.
Yeah.
And then if you go back to SmackDown around that time, it started getting better because they didn't have all the talents.
Yeah.
You know, Raw had all the talents at the time, and Raw and SmackDown was good for a little bit. And then all of a sudden it started changing. You know what I mean? You have Wade Bryant, the champion. And then
Which I liked.
Huh?
Which I liked, though. He deserved it.
Yeah, he deserved it. And then all of a sudden, you had the Jinder Mahal era. Like, where the hell that come from? And that showed that Vince McMahon had a hand in it.
Right, because Vince says, "I'm getting this India money."
Yeah. And that was almost a year.
I try to block. I think I blocked out how long that Jinder Mahal run was because nothing personal against Jinder, but I've never looked at that dude and said, "Oh, world champ."
I agree.
And maybe it's a 3-man band stuff that's still stuck in my head.
Me too.
I look at him now and I'm like,
what is he doing now? Yeah, he's
nothing. Like, yeah, he got jacked. Awesome, because he looks completely different from the 3-man band days.
Right.
You know, he looks definitely more the part now because he's so much bigger. But
right,
I look at him, I'm like, I don't see to me a world champ.
I don't.
Yeah, I just don't see it. Like I
don't see him as a champ anyway. I just see him like the Brooklyn Brawler.
Oh no, he's not that bad now. He's you know.
Come on.
I can see him as a. I can see Jinder as a mid card guy.
But not a champion.
He's definitely the Brooklyn. I can see him
champion.
No, I can see him having like his U.S. title run wasn't bad. I think he could be a good mid-card champion. Not a consistent one, but have a good couple title reigns. He's okay as a heel. The problem is he can't get over as a face.
And he can't wrestle.
There's that too. His in-ring performances.
It's horrible.
I don't.
So many blotches in his matches. Come on.
Well, I think the problem is I think he's too big now. Like he looks great, but I think that's impacted his in-ring work, which was a lot better when he was thinner.
I agree.
He was smaller. So
right.
He has the look of a guy who could be a champion, but now he doesn't have the in-ring work of a guy who could be champion. So it's tough for his situation, which is why I think he would be regulated to the mid-card. I don't think he'd be an enhancement talent like the Brooklyn Brawler. You went a little too far there. But
I apologize to the Brooklyn Brawler.
But the Jinder era was rough.
And what made me frustrated because that kind of killed Shinsuke's momentum because he lost like 3 times to him.
Well, Shinsuke they just didn't know what to do with him after the AJ Styles feud. Once that was done, they were like, okay, what do we do with him? Because I don't get it.
The problem to me, I felt like the problem was when he fought Shinsuke the first time for the title, Jinder. Shinsuke should have won in Brooklyn. Was that match in Brooklyn? I think it was in Brooklyn when they fought the first time for the title.
For the U.S. title?
Yeah, Shinsuke was already over. You know, people loved this dude. He should have won the title then, and that would have been the end of it.
Oh, well, before AJ took the title. Okay. Yeah, Shinsuke was over. I mean, Shinsuke was over once he got to NXT, and it was a waste of Shinsuke.
Everybody started going, "Oh, that shit!"
It's fire. It's okay.
It was fire.
It's fire.
Yeah,
he had probably the dopest entrance of that time. Like, everybody loved it. You didn't even have to like Shinsuke to like his entrance.
Yeah,
you had the violin, and you had him doing his things.
Yes,
it was.
And he was so over, and they had the chance to capitalize on it. And they destroyed it by having him lose to Jinder, not once, not twice, 3 times.
Yeah, and the fact that Shinsuke still hasn't been WWE champion is also a waste.
It is
of his talent, because he should have. I understand, if you don't want to have him take it off AJ, whatever, but he should have had it before AJ, because he should have taken it from Jinder. And I think that would have made it an even better program between AJ and Shinsuke than the one they had, which was great. It was good until he started focusing on low blows all the time, which got stupid.
Right.
But they could have had probably a better run with him and AJ if they have Shinsuke take the belt off of Jinder Mahal. Yeah. I agree with you there.
I mean, and it's just disappointing. And like I said, it's not Road Dogg's fault going back to it. It's not his fault. I think it goes right back to Vince. I think he needs to step down and let Triple H take control of the WWE, because he's doing a good job in NXT. So I think that would
transition in NXT. Yeah.
And that would transition to the other brands.
Well, unfortunately, Vince isn't going to be hands off until the XFL kicks off again. I think I've said this before. I think the XFL is Vince's retirement toy, where he can ride off into the sunset and do his football league, since the NFL owners won't let him buy a team, and he can go play with his football league and kind of just ride off to the sunset and let Stephanie and Hunter and Shane take the reins for the future. Well, okay, so let's talk about this, because what we're talking about, especially with Road Dogg, we're talking about story continuity problems. Now, recently, I know you heard there was a WWE writer who was fired for allegedly, rumor and innuendo, that he had produced a segment of the Hall of Fame for Bret Hart. And there is this rule that Vince McMahon does not want to be mentioned. He doesn't want to have people heaping accolades or thanks upon him during these Hall of Fame speeches. Vince's name came up anyway, and allegedly Vince fired this man at Gorilla, the Gorilla position, after the Hall of Fame. So soon after, they posted on their website, their career section, that they're looking for a story continuity person. If you were looking to work for Vince McMahon, story continuity person, is that a role you could see yourself or anyone wanting to subject themselves to?
No. The only way I would take that position if I have full autonomy, because if I have someone over my head constantly making changes, then what's the point of hiring somebody? You're the main content person, then you don't need to hire anybody.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you're trying to write a story, and to make it all connect, and then someone we're going to say someone, Vince McMahon. If Vince McMahon is constantly over your shoulder saying, "That doesn't work for me, pal. No, how about this, there, pal?" Then what is the point?
Dude, the most frustrating thing is you write a script for the show, right? And then 10 minutes before the show goes on, he comes off and like, "Oh no, I want to do this. No, I want this wrestler here. You get frustrated. You're like, I don't want to be in this work environment. It's not fair. I don't need to be a part of that.
Okay, well, the posting, so this is what the post says, the responsibilities of this continuity script supervisor role is. to maintain and oversee the weekly continuity documents for Raw and SmackDown Live. Proofread all drafts and pay-per-view scripts each week. Assure major stories, graphics, transitions are being brought forward for all shows. Create and communicate weekly checklists for all shows to keep lead writers on track, making sure they're bringing stories forward. Responsible for watching all shows and up to date on all creative and all WWE related events, that's digital, social, public relations, etc. Serve as a liaison between Raw and SmackDown Live to ensure continuity between the creative of both shows. Work closely with head department, VPs, lead writers, which is pretty much Vince, Triple H, Bruce Pritchard, Stephanie McMahon, Shane McMahon, also probably Paul Heyman, throughout the creative process to ensure the entire creative team is on the same page. This position will be separate from the creative team. The company states this is not a writing position and will not be pitching creative. So essentially, with that, your role then is to try to mesh all these stories together and to have continuity, but you really have no influence over where the story goes. So essentially, what Vince wants to do is hire someone to take a jigsaw puzzle that has these red pieces and these blue pieces and these yellow pieces. Well, maybe just take the yellow pieces out. I mean, the red and blue pieces. Actually, we have to throw some yellow pieces in because they keep on calling people up and doing it. So you have to put these pieces together in this jigsaw puzzle. But when these pieces change, you have to somehow fit them together anyway. You have to pull in another piece to try to figure out how this is going to fit here and there. He wants you to create an impossible puzzle that you're never going to be able to finish. No. And since there's so many changing parts, it's like playing Tetris with only 3 of the pieces, and you can't get Tetris with only 3.
No,
even if you only have the longs, and like it's a virtual impossibility. There's a reason why there's more than 3 pieces in Tetris.
Yes.
And I don't understand how this person's supposed to be to do their job effectively when, like you mentioned earlier, Vince is known to change things day of. So how are you supposed to have that continuity if Vince says, "Here's a new creative, pal"? Excuse me, what? I just linked this creative to that creative, and that completely changes that story. So we're gonna have to change. You're gonna have to change that story, and who's gonna write that story in the next 20 minutes?
Right.
Figure it out, pal.
No,
not for me. And
no,
I know they ain't paying enough to deal with that aggravation.
Because I see that as being a little errand boy. It's like, no, I'm good.
That's even an errand boy. That's a whipping boy.
Yeah,
position.
Basically. Yeah.
That is you getting blamed for everything not making sense when you're not the one writing it.
You're the scapegoat.
Yes, you are the scapegoat.
You're the Byron Corbin.
Byron Corbin.
Basically.
Oh man. Yeah, that's just not a good position to be in at all.
And whoever do it, they're stupid.
Or they're a glutton for punishment. I don't know.
Yeah. Or they like being a whipping boy.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there are things I would gladly do for the WWE, but that role is definitely not one of them. No. I would rather be a writer and deal with that. At least I have input into the story, into the creative, because I didn't have the flexibility to say, okay, well, if you want to do that, then we can change the story this way. Like you have more ability to roll with the punches if you have some input into creative compared to, all right, well, I've got to fix this round peg into the square hole.
Yes.
And, yeah.
You know what it kind of remind me of? Remember the Hollywood Shuffle? The scene where Robert Towers in? It's like, he feeds me on Monday, beat me on Tuesday.
Yep. Exactly. That's exactly what it would be, too.
Yeah, so no thank you. I'm good. Move on.
Yes, right. We're going to move on into one of our favorite things to talk about, and that is the National Basketball Association. We are headed to playoff time.
Yeah, in Africa, they call it Nuba.
Nuba. So we've got a playoff bracket here. And I'm going to start in the Eastern Conference, since that's where both of our squads playing. Unfortunately, your Knicks are on the outside looking in again.
Yeah, we're working on trying to get Zion.
Yeah, well, my Pistons barely squeaked in, and half of me says, "Why did y'all even bother?" Because we were the 6th seed, and all of a sudden, hey, let's not play any basketball, and let's slip to the 8th seed.
Yeah, but at least you're in the dance.
But you know what? I wanted that 6th seed, and we'll talk about it why in a bit. So, Bucks Pistons, 1 versus 8. The fan in me and says if we play as well as we were playing after the All-Star break, pretty much until the last 2 weeks of the season, we could win a game or two against Milwaukee because they were playing well. Their defense was well. Blake had a great season.
He did.
Probably his best season. And if the Pistons had a better record, he probably would have been in the MVP conversation.
I agree.
That being said, I think Reggie Jackson played good for 3 weeks the entire season. And unfortunately, since the offense of Dwayne Casey is so dependent upon good guard play, hence, look at Kyle Lowry in Toronto and all the success they had because he was running the point. We have no shot really of winning this series unless Giannis breaks a leg. And if we get one game, it'll be a miracle. Like that means Blake would have gone off and Drummond would have actually hit some free throws, and and that means Reggie Jackson actually tried to play some defense and didn't try to play hero ball because he's not a hero. I think we could eke out one game if we are playing top notch. If we don't play top notch, every game, we're not going to get a game.
I'm going to channel my inner Stephen A. Smith right now. Come on, man. Are you serious? Are you serious?
I'm serious.
The Pistons going to win one game in the series. Are you serious?
I think
I can't laugh like him, but are you serious? Come on, man.
We can eke out. Didn't say will.
That 2 games probably.
No, we ain't getting 2 games. I know that.
You said 2 games. Probably 2 games.
No. We can. Don't know if we will. We can eke out one. I don't think we will. I think this is a series. Honestly, my prediction: the series ends in a sweep.
Yes.
And then then Detroit will be in Cancun with LeBron and
yes.
The rest of them. I would like to see them win a game because people like to knock. Hey, they lost in the first round, or especially that whole old Jordan. LeBron or Jordan, Kobe or Jordan, whoever debate. Oh, well, They didn't lose in the first round. Losing the playoffs doesn't mean, yes, you lost, but losing the playoffs is a learning experience. Losing the playoffs is also an inspiring, at times, experience for those fans of that team because they can see, hey, they made the playoffs, they fought, okay, we'll come back better next year. Oh, look, next year they made it to the second round. They lost, okay, but they're getting better. They could get over the hump next year. You look at Clipper fans, how excited they were. Their teams finally got the first round. They finally got to playoffs, finally got out of the first round, got to the second round. Unfortunately, they didn't keep going higher. But that is the hope that gets instilled. So you want your team in the playoffs. You want them to at least get a game out when you know that they still need help. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get a game.
No, and Blake Griffin knows a lot about losing in the first round.
Yeah, he do.
So he can tease that really well to the Pistons.
Well, hey, he's been there.
Yeah, he's been there.
He's been there. Well,
with his homie Chris Paul.
That was a whole team thing. That whole team choked. But yeah, that's how that's going to go. Now we've got.
It's going to be.
It's just going to be ugly. I mean,
it's going to be a massacre. It's probably be close within like the first 2 minutes of the first quarter. Then after that's going to be a blowout.
After 0, see, here's the thing about it. The Bucks.
That length, man.
They're long. They're deep. They got a deep squad.
They do, man.
And the fact that Chris Middleton, All-Star, was traded to Milwaukee from Detroit also, irritates me. But
yeah,
I digress. All right, so we've got number 2 Raptors versus the number 7 Orlando Magic.
This one I think might be interesting because a lot of people sleep on Orlando. I think they have a decent team. I don't think Toronto would have anything to stop Voracek because I think he's a beast down in the middle, and he's very versatile. And I just feel like Larry has a lot of pressure on him, even though he has Leonard to help him out. I feel like he has a lot of pressure of thinking that he has to carry a team because of their past experience, losing to LeBron and stuff like that. So the ghost of LeBron might haunt Toronto a little bit, even though, you know, they don't have to worry about facing LeBron anymore.
Right.
So I think it's going to be a close series. I think, give or take, I think Orlando might win 2 games because I think they're going to sleep on. I think Toronto's going to sleep on Orlando, and Orlando is going to be that surprise team. I think
Orlando, the fact that they're in the playoffs is a shock because they were playing terrible basketball, just really bad. Vujacic in the middle, he's good. I would agree with you as far as not being able to slow him down prior to the Marc Gasol trade. Now that they have Gasol, they have someone who can bang, and Mark's not trying to carry this team, so he can focus on defense and being third, fourth wheel in the offense.
I can see that.
You know, so I don't think Orlando really has much of a chance. But they showed me a lot of heart and determination to make the playoffs. I think they'll be competitive, especially in their games at home. I think they get wiped in Toronto. And I think if they win a game, they'll win 1, and the series is over in 5.
I could see that. I could see that. But like I said, all the games are probably going to be more than likely close. There's not going to be a blowout.
I don't think there'll be any blowouts. I think they lose by, you know, a couple of double-digit losses in Toronto, but not like 20 or 30. I'm talking they lose by 10, lose by 12 in Toronto.
Because Orlando has no pressure on them. The pressure is on Toronto.
Right. Yeah, all the pressure is on Toronto, especially because they let their coach of the year go.
Yeah.
So, the pressure's on them, coaching staff, player-wise. All right, so next is the interesting matchup that I was really, really hoping my Pistons would hang in for. That is number 3 and number 6. That's the Sixers and the Nets.
That's going to be the best series in that.
This is going to be, this is the potential upset series.
I agree.
And that's why I wanted my Pistons in this slot, because the Sixers are vulnerable.
I agree.
Talented, they probably have the most talent on
paper?
Well, they're the top heaviest team because all their talent's on the top. The rest of their bench is pretty suspect.
I agree.
When you look through their 1 through 5 between Simmons and Butler and Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid and then you've got Redick. Top-wise, they've got a very impressive squad. Like, you know, who's messing with that?
Right.
But then you get their bench. You've got TJ McConnell, and you've got some other. You got some other cats I came, because they traded Sark away. Like I can't even think of who else is on their bench. Corey Brewer's still on their bench after that. You get another 10-day.
I have no idea. Probably the water boy. I don't know.
I mean, their bench is suspect.
I agree.
And honestly, when I've watched them play, they're actually better with McConnell at the point, Butler at the 2, Simmons at the 3, Tobias at the 4, and Embiid at the 5. That's actually when I think they're at their best because TJ pushes the tempo, and he's a more traditional point guard.
And he can shoot.
And you don't have to leave him wide open like you do Ben Simmons. You actually have to step out and challenge his shot. I think the Nets could. I don't think they will because I think the talent disparity is too much. But if Embiid doesn't play, and they say he's probably not going to play this weekend because of his knee,
they can steal a game.
They could steal a game if Embiid doesn't play. They could steal 2 games and all of a sudden go to Brooklyn up 2-0 because with Embiid out and Simmons on the floor, that's 2 people you don't have to guard.
Yep.
Now, you only have to guard JJ. He's not attacking the rim. You just have to JJ from getting the wide open looks. So now you're only really having to guard Jimmy Butler, because he's the only one on that squad who can create his own shot.
Yes.
As good as Harris is not a shot creator. He
Nope.
is a motion offense guy. He can score off of getting good looks through the offense, but he's not going to get the ball and create his own shot like Butler can. So Jimmy Butler becomes your main defensive focus and keeping them out of rhythm. And if they're out of rhythm, that means they're spot-up guys like Harris and Redick can't get the shots they need. And Embiid isn't there to make his own stuff. And we know Simmons can't shoot. So all of a sudden, they're extremely vulnerable on the offensive side. And defensively, they're also more vulnerable because you don't have your rim protector and Embiid there.
Yep.
And the way D'Angelo's playing, the way
balling out.
Yeah, the way Spencer Dinwiddie's been playing, and the heart that Brooklyn's been playing with, this could be your upset round.
I can definitely, I agree with you 100% with that. I could see that happening because just like Orlando, the Nets have nothing to lose. They're like, you know what, we in here, we can make some noise, and this definitely can go to a Game 7. And if it goes to a Game 7, it's going to be scary for Philly because they wouldn't expect to be in that situation if that occurred. They think, all right, we got the Nets, we can, get them out of the way to go to the second round. Because what happens is good teams like that, they look past teams like the Nets. Like they're already looking toward the second round. And if they do that, they could be out in a minute. So I totally agree with that.
Exactly. And that's why I wanted my Pistons in the position. But,
they got.
We had our chance. We were in that spot. Then we,
the Nets wanted more. And I'm mad because it should be New Jersey Nets, not Brooklyn. But I digress.
We digress. Then we have the Pacers in the Celtics number 4, Celtics number 5, Pacers.
I think that's going to be a good series too. I think it would be a better series if Victor
Oladipo was there.
Playing. Yeah, if he was there, but he's not.
That's the tough thing. Like, I think the Pacers gutted through the season because they were number 3 when Depot went down. For them to finish the season at the 5 seed in the East when you lost your best player in January?
Yes.
For them to not completely collapse is fantastic because
it shows the credit to the coach.
Yeah, Nate McMillan he's fantastic. He's always been a great coach. And he was a good player. If you didn't see the man play, he was never the star, but a solid player, knows the game. He was a defensive stalwart for the Seattle Supersonics. Great basketball mind in Coach McMillan.
Definitely.
Coach Portland for a while. If you don't know his history, he's fantastic. So to keep this team where they are, my concern with them is that they've been declining, obviously, because they lost their best player. I don't know if they have what it takes to beat another deep, talent-full team like Boston. Boston's had their problems, but they have a stacked roster. Between Kyrie and Tatum and Horford and Hayward and Jaylen Brown and Rozier, they've got 6 dudes that could be starting in any other team pretty much. And that's without Marcus Smart, who is unfortunately not going to be able to play. They're just a deep squad. I think Brad Stevens is too good of a coach with too much talent for the Pacers to beat them. This series should be competitive. It will be competitive as far as the effort because McMillan's going to get his boys to come out there and bang. They're going to come out there and come hard. They're going to come with no fear. It's going to be competitive. I don't see the Pacers winning more than one game just because I think the talent disparity is just way too high for them to overcome.
I see where you're coming with the talent, but in the regular season, there's times where the Celtics been complacent. A lot of times in a lot of games.
Regular season.
I know it's the regular season, but sometimes what happens is, depending on the team you play, you turn it off, you turn it on. You turn it off, you turn it on. And you don't do that with a team like Indiana Pacers because if you turn it off, they'll blow you out by 30 points. Even though they don't have their best player, they will put it on you. And if they come in game 1 like, all right, we they don't got their best player, so whatever. What's going to happen is Indiana might be able to take the first game of Boston. If they
think so?
Yeah. It all depends on it goes how Kyrie goes is how Boston goes.
Well, that's not true though, because
You don't think so?
no, because I don't think Brad Stevens is afraid to put Kyrie on the bench for Rozier and let Rozier do his thing. And honestly, again, this is just based on last year, but they might be better without Kyrie. They really might be. Kyrie gives them more star power, more talent, but the flow of the game, the way they play, the way Stevens' system goes, I think Rozier's a better fit for it than Kyrie, because Kyrie is so ball dominant. The ball doesn't move as much as it does when Rozier is playing the point or Smart's playing the point.
Right.
And Rozier is just a better offensive player than Marcus Smart. I think the offense and the team is better with Rozier running it anyway. But obviously, you want a closer like Kyrie. You want a guy who can just explode like him.
In the fourth quarter, to take over.
Especially in the fourth quarter. So I don't want to regulate Kyrie to be Vinnie Johnson, because obviously he's better than that. Not that Vinnie wasn't great, because people forget he was a starter for most of his career. They just remember him as the super six man championship years. But Kyrie's he's so. If Kyrie just wasn't as ball dominant, he'd be fine. But the thing is, my point is that Stevens isn't afraid to pull Kyrie, sit Kyrie down, and put Rozier and get the team moving where it needs to be. And the thing about Kyrie that really it's interesting to me is that he's very naturally easily flows into the flow of a game, but so if he starts a game and the flow is off, and Stevens puts Rozier in and they get into their offensive flow, when Kyrie comes back in, he doesn't change the flow back to be centered around him. It's like he's wading. He's like he wades into the water and he's with the current. Which is great. It's amazing, because most players, especially ball dominant ones, generally don't do that. Once they get back in, they change the current back to around.
Right, and I think he learned that from LeBron, playing with LeBron, because with LeBron's game, he picks and chooses when he needs to dominate the game. So he goes with the flow of the game.
Right, and I think his biggest problem is just that he doesn't start. It's hard for him to start that way. But if they have a problem where they can just put him into the flow and he's with it, then there's no way that the Pacers can beat them. So
what do you think? You think they should they should have Rozier as the point guard and just move Kyrie as the shooting guard, so he doesn't have the ball in his hand?
That's the problem with that, is then you have a defensive problem. How small your guards are, and it's not like they're Isaiah. They're not Zeke and Joe. Who they're not top defensive guys. If they're top defensive guys, you can get away with that. Kyrie especially, he's just not. He's not terrible defensively, but he's nowhere near elite defensively to be able to get away with two tiny guards.
Right.
What I think you do is, I think essentially you just sub Rozier in more, or you have spurts where you have them on the court at the same time to keep that flow, and then you can. So maybe you do it for 5 minutes instead of 10. You have them on the court together for 5 minutes, and then you pull one out. You put Jaylen Brown back in and move Kyrie back to the point, or Rozier to the point, and you keep with that flow of the game where they're all clicking, that ball's moving, the ball's popping, they're getting their shots. Kyrie attacks, kicks out. Tatum drives, kicks out. They hit Horford, they hit Hayward, whoever. Like, they're in that flow of the game, and when they're there, then they're the best team in the East when they're in that flow. There's nobody to me that is better than them when they're playing that well together. So, having them together on the court is definitely a good idea. It's just you got to do it.
You got to pick and choose.
Yeah, exactly. But this series to me doesn't go beyond 5. It would take a miracle
or an injury.
Exactly. So then that would take us to the second round. Would be then the Bucks. The Bucks
already taking the head.
Right, the Bucks and the Celtics in the second round, and then the Sixers, because the Nets could win, but I don't think they will.
No,
The Sixers and the Raptors.
The Raptors, yeah, that can go any way. Those two second round possible matchups, like it can go any way. Like you can see any team win. That's how good those 4 teams are. Those are the best 4 teams in the Eastern Conference.
Oh, but by far. Now, here's the thing about Milwaukee, because a lot of people say Milwaukee's going all the way. I doubt that because of Coach Budenholzer, who I like. I like Mike Budenholzer a lot. But Coach Budenholzer has had great teams, 60-win teams in Atlanta.
Yes.
Who go into the playoffs and then get swept.
Yeah.
This is a Milwaukee team who hasn't seen past the first round. And they will be playing a Boston team that's been to the conference finals and honestly never should have lost to Cleveland last year.
I agree.
They should have beat Cleveland.
I agree.
They're experienced. They know what it takes, and they're a little salty that they didn't make the finals last year, which would have been a more entertaining series because they've had Golden State's number for the past couple years when they've played each other. Honestly, I think the Celtics beat the Bucks in a 6 or 7 game series. I don't think the Bucks get swept because they are a lot better. Giannis is a lot better than he was even last year. I think he's mentally tougher than he was as well last year. I think the mental toughness portion is what kept them from winning their series last year. Because remember, their series was every home team won the games, and it was pretty much every home team served court. And that's not obviously going to be the case this year. I think he and the entire Bucks team as a team have grown to the point where they're just that much better on the road, where they're not going to get swept, they're not going to get trashed. But I just don't see that if Boston is playing the way they should be playing, I don't think they can beat them. I think there's just too much.
I think it all depends on if Milwaukee hits their threes, because they are a three-pointer shoot based team. If they make their threes at a high, like I would say, if they go like at least 30% from 3 or 35% from 3, I think they'll win the series. So it's just based on if they make their shots from 3. If they don't, Boston's going to win. Because what's going to happen is Boston is going to pull. They're going to not attack. I can't think of the word, but they're going to defend the 3. They're going to They're going to have Guinness try to shoot the ball.
You have to have John shoot.
If
he's driving, it's over.
They're going to stack the middle so he doesn't have any driving lanes and force him to be a jump shooter.
Yeah, because he can. Well, he's a better shooter than he used to be, but he's still not a shooter
at that level. No. So it goes back to if the Bucks do shoot really well from 3, they're going to win the series. If not, I agree. I think Boston's going to win, and I think it's going to go to Game 7. I think.
I disagree. Even if the Bucks hit the threes, they have 2 problems. One, the only team that's been able to survive living and dying off the 3 ball is Golden State. And 2, losing Malcolm Brogdon was huge because that was their best defensive player.
Yes, you're right.
I mean, as far as wing defender, obviously Giannis is their better overall defensive player. But not having Brogdon really hurts defensively when you're trying to check on the guard level. When you're trying to check this Kyrie, you're trying to check Hayward, you're trying to check Jaylen Brown or even Tatum. Not having him is huge.
Yes, I agree.
Huge. Because now you're not going to be able to keep them out of the paint at all.
Right.
And if you can't keep them out of the paint, they're going to drive, they're going to kick, they're just going to be so hard to defend. And also, I think as much as I like Budenholzer, I think Brad Stevens is a better coach, and I think Budenholzer's been out-coached too many times. His track record says, you know what, he's probably going to get out-coached again.
No, I can see that.
I've never seen Budenholzer make the necessary adjustments in the playoffs.
He can't. He never did it in Atlanta. He never did
his coaching looks the same in the regular season as it does in the playoffs. There's never been the adjustments. He reminds me of. He reminds me of, not that he's the same level coach, but
he reminds me of Mike D'Antoni a little bit.
Nah, he doesn't remind me of D'Antoni. He reminds me of a better coach, but he reminds me of Lenny Wilkens.
I can see that.
Great regular season coach, gonna get you 50, maybe 60 wins almost every year. Come playoff time, nothing changes. Teams play differently in the playoffs. It's a different season. That's why they call it the postseason. Never makes the adjustments.
Right.
Teams just, hey, you got them there, consistently good, but also consistently losing in the playoffs. Budenholzer reminds me of Lenny Wilkens.
I can see that, but I would say Mike D'Antoni a little bit because of his days in Phoenix when they were going through constantly playoffs, and when the games got closer, he didn't make any adjustments. He kept on playing the same way they did in the regular season, and that's why they lost.
Well, see, the difference is D'Antoni is because of his system. His system is no defense, and that's his system. Budenholzer, I see Budenholzer to Lenny Wilkens because the way the style that they coach, they can make the necessary adjustments. It's just that it just doesn't happen. But the thing with D'Antoni's system is you can't deviate from it because it doesn't. If you play defense the way you're supposed to, the system doesn't work. You can't get out fast enough. The whole system breaks down. So if you change it, all of a sudden you've got nothing, and now you're a team that has no idea how they're even supposed to play. Where Budenholzer's system isn't like that. His defensive schemes aren't like that. It's just you have to make necessary adjustments in your playoff. You have to change matchups. You got to do something different come playoff time. Ratchet up.
Right.
You got to ratchet up your intensity. You got to ratchet up a whole lot of different things. Budenholzer, I look at his face. His face looks the same, just like Lenny Wilkens did. Just stone face, never changing. I just don't see him and his staff ever making those adjustments as a coaching staff to say, okay, this is what we're going to have to do playoff time for this team. This is what we're going to have to do playoff time for this team. He seems to be very like, hey, this worked in the regular season. We beat these guys. It's going to work again. And that's not always the case.
True. But also, I feel like the one person we forgot to add to the discussion, I think might be an X factor for Milwaukee, is George Hill. I think he's the X factor in the.
Really?
Yeah. You sleeping on him. Don't sleep on him. He could drop 20 and you wouldn't even know it.
That's because people didn't know he was still in the league. People thought after he missed them free throws in the finals that George ran away or something. No one knew where George was.
But again, you were talking about experience. You can't, metrics the experience you have being in the playoffs and winning championships. And I'm just saying he might bring something to the table that might help them beat Boston. So I'm just saying, don't sleep on him.
They were hoping for that in Indiana. It didn't work. They were hoping for that with the Cleveland Cavaliers. It didn't work.
I'm just saying the third time is a charm.
Honestly, I don't think Hill was ever enough of a pop guy to really be able to take what he could have learned in that system and have it apply elsewhere. That's part of the reason why they traded him, because he really wasn't that type of dude. He didn't impact their culture that for example, okay, Steven Jackson impacted the Pacers culture a great way because of his time in San Antonio. That was an immediate. People talk about the Pacers in 05, because to me the Pacers were better than my Pistons in 05. They would have made the finals that year without the Mouse and the Pals. They definitely were the better squad.
I agree.
We barely beat them the year before. But a big change, a big difference was the addition of Steven Jackson to that Pacers squad, and his championship experience with the Spurs, understanding how to approach the game. He was really helping change that team's culture and approach, especially against a bully ball squad like the Pistons. And Jack was like, we can beat these guys. We got these guys. And that night in the Palace, they were destroying us. It wasn't even close. I think they were up 20 I think, when the fight started. Like, they were crushing us. That is completely different from, and he was a Pop guy. He was in the system. He benefited from the system. He learned from the system. Pop loved him. That was the guy who was able to take that championship culture and transfer it elsewhere. Unfortunately, you can't predict that blow up because you can't predict a Ron Artest blow up. Or and I'm not gonna blame it on Ron or an idiot fan throwing something on Ron Artest, because we can't blame Ron completely for it. I think, honestly, they probably would have won the championship, and that's my prediction. I think they win the championship that year if that doesn't happen. That is a great instance of transferring of culture. Right. George Hill does not. He's never been that, never had that. I don't even think he's that type of person to be able to say, "Oh, this is what we do here."
Right.
And some people, they don't want to listen either, even if you have it. So let's again, staying with San Antonio. The San Antonio Spurs, to me, as a franchise, should have 7 championships, but they only have 5. And that's because Pop and them would not listen to Dennis Rodman when they had him, because there wasn't a better squad when Mike was gone than that Spurs team. That Spurs team ran to the regular season. They destroyed everybody. They were, Avery Johnson, Del Negro, Sean Elliott, Rodman, and Diablo. Their bench was good. They were fantastic. Everybody, every expert was like, San Antonio's going to be there. They're that good. And they really wouldn't listen to Rodman when he was talking about, this is how we have to win. This is what we got to do to win. And that's a big reason why they lost. They wouldn't let him transfer the championship culture he had and learned in Detroit completely into San Antonio. I think that's a detriment to them, because they would have been, eventually they won, but they won as a soft team, as a finesse team. If they'd have been a little bit more bully,
edgy, a
little edgier, they could have maybe more than 7. Because we're talking about a franchise when they won their 5 that's never won back to back. And to win back to back, you've got to be edgy. You got to be really tough, physically and mentally, and you got to have an edge to you. And they're a franchise that's never done it. I think if they let Dennis Rodman infuse a small part of that Chuck Daly Piston culture into San Antonio, they are a much higher regarded franchise than they are even now.
But at the same time, don't you see that the reason why that Pop didn't go that route, because he saw where the landscape of the NBA was going to head anyway?
I don't think so. This was 1994. He didn't see that.
You don't think so?
No, this is 1994. There's no
way he
saw that.
But I'm just saying.
There's no way he saw that. Pop ain't that good. There's no way in 1994 Pop was thinking, we're going to be a softer league in 2019 and shooting a whole bunch of threes. There's no way he saw that. No way. Especially with how high the NBA was.
Yeah.
It became, thanks, to Mike and the marketing team, how global basketball was becoming, worldwide, how the popularity of the sport rising. There's no way Pop saw that change, because the style of the game was what people were loving it. It was athletic, it was physical, it was intense, it was passionate. There was no way Pop was thinking, in about 15 years, about 20 years, this game's gonna be completely different, completely soft. We don't need it. We're not gonna need to bang to win championships. No, we don't. No, there's no way he saw that. And anybody that cares about their legacy would rather have 7 than 5.
That's true.
I'm just saying.
That's true.
But I don't see George Hill having those type of impacts when it comes to transferring championship culture and mindset. You look at him; he doesn't even look like a guy who speaks up in a room.
No, I see where you're coming from, but don't sleep on him, man. That's gonna be my surprise player in that second round. I'm telling you.
You may have the Bucks winning. I have the Celtics winning. And I have the Raptors beating the Sixers because
I do too.
Of all the reasons we said before. I think they barely get out the first round.
And Toronto has a better bench, so that's going.
Oh yeah. Van Fleet and them. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
So then we would have the Celtics, in my estimation. You have the Bucks versus the Raptors. Regardless of who they play, the Raptors have their hands full.
Yeah. Either who. Yeah, I agree.
Either squad, they have their hands full. Okay, so if we think the Raptors if we see the Raptors play the Bucks, then Kyle Lowry becomes the biggest part of the series because he is much better than I forget who their point even is now. He's a lot better than George Hill.
Yeah, I agree with that. No.
Kyle Lowry becomes the most important part for Toronto if they play the Bucks. And if he can dominate the guard play, the Bucks are going to be in big trouble.
I can see that.
And if they play the Celtics, then the biggest and most important player becomes Kawhi Leonard, being able to stop Tatum in the wings and being able to get his own and making them work defensively. And because that helps slow them down. Boston, especially Brown and Tatum, the harder they have to work defensively, that really impacts how efficient they are, their efficiency and their level of aggressiveness.
Right.
Especially when it comes to attacking the basket, because they're trying to preserve some of that energy. So they may have an open lane that could be open for a jump shot or attacking the rim. And from what I've watched this year, about 8 to 10 times, when they've been tired or been working more, they've tended to take that jump shot instead of attacking the rim and trying to get the easier bucket or the foul.
Yeah, and then also see if Toronto does make it. I think that builds their confidence into the Eastern Conference.
Oh yeah,
that, they got over that hump. So if they got over that hump, then they're like, you know what, we could do this. And I just feel like Milwaukee would be more of a scarier matchup again because of their length. With Toronto, they're more, I would say, more like which is good for the playoffs, where they're like a half-court team,
right.
Which is important because under 3 minutes in a game, you got to find ways to get shots. You're not going to get it to a fast break. Break, that's going to end.
That fast break crap is over. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you're going to learn how to play in the half court, which might be into their advantage. But I just feel like with their length, they're a real good defensive team too, Milwaukee. I know they lost Barkinen, which hurts them, but I just feel like that length, and I just think he's just gonna ball out this playoff. Guinness, I think he's gonna ball out. I feel like he's gonna have that moment.
I don't
that moment in the playoffs, and I
don't doubt Giannis is gonna ball out. My concern for the Bucks isn't Giannis. It is Budenholzer and can the rest of the squad pick up? Because remember, for them to be successful, they're going to have to rely a lot on Brook Lopez delivering. They're going to have to rely a lot on guys who, like George Hill, who are not known for delivering in these big times.
Yeah.
I think Giannis is going to go insane. I think he's going to look great. He's going to play great every game, similar to what he did last year. Because the only reason they won the 3 games in their series last year was because of how well Giannis played. Yeah, so I'm not worried about Giannis at all. If I had to have a concern for Giannis, it would be, can he lift his teammates up as he's lifting himself up?
Right.
That will probably be the biggest test for him personally throughout this playoffs. Because if he can't lift them up, they're going to lose.
Nowhere. Yeah, I agree. I'm just waiting for his fourth quarter moment, which is going to happen in his career. It's going to happen.
Who knows? I mean, there's so many great players who really haven't had that playoff moment.
That's true.
How many when did Clyde have that?
Never.
If he did, we can't remember it.
No. Back in college, I don't know.
Yeah, like Clyde's a great player, Hall of Famer, without a doubt. But Clyde never had that time where he pulled, the team up, and had that big, 20-point third quarter and fourth quarter, something like that. Yeah, right. That was Porter, right? I mean, he had a stacked squad. I mean, he had Porter, he had Duckworth, he had Cliff Robinson, he had Kersey, he had Buck Williams. He had a stack. He had like 3 other All-Stars on that team. He had help.
Danny Ainge off the bench.
Yeah, he had Danny Ainge. People forget how stacked that Portland team was.
That team should have won the championship.
That team could have won a couple of championships, but
with that squad, yeah.
Hey, my Pistons beat them. The Bulls beat them.
And never made it back.
But another thing, kind of better coach than Budenholzer, obviously, but similar to that, not making the adjustments. Rick Adelman, Adelman was their coach. Yeah. Prime example. Adelman's coach got a great teams. Sacramento, Portland, and couldn't make it happen.
No,
all right, so we're looking at between them both of us, looks like we're saying either the Bucks or the Celtics make the finals.
Yes.
All right. So in the Western Conference, we really have. Okay. Well, you said you had something to talk about with the Warriors and Clippers, because I don't think the Clippers have a chance to win a game. But you seem
I just feel like by Doc Rivers' team, I just feel like they're gonna give their maximum effort, and I think what happened is Golden State is just gonna come in. They're gonna turn it off for a little bit, and then when the fourth quarter hit, they're gonna be down by 20 points, and then they're gonna have to make a comeback, and the Clippers gonna go take 1 or 2 games. I can see that, and then also too, playing for that long, playing back-to-back championship, that takes a toll. Mentally, physically, it takes a toll.
Oh yeah, it definitely does.
And that's why it's hard for teams to win back-to-back championships. It's hard because you're playing till June. You take a break. You're back in late August, September. Season starts in October. That takes a toll on the human body and the mindset.
Oh yeah,
and you're not going to be on all the time.
That's something people don't talk about enough. Is the mental and physical strain of winning multiple championships, especially going back to back, and especially trying to three-peat. It is extremely tough. Like that's another thing in the Jordan LeBron debate people don't talk about. Like the guy, just how mentally you look at the great players outside of the Celtics who played against 10 total teams in the NBA. When they won their back-to-backs, most teams, the Birds Celtics never won back-to-back. We mentioned the great Spurs teams who've never won back-to-back. You look at your guys that went back-to-back, you think of the Lakers did one time of their 5 in the 80s. The Pistons won back-to-back titles. The Bulls three-peated twice.
Right. Yes.
And the Lakers three-peated with Shaq and Kobe, and then they went back-to-back with Kobe and Powell. And then now the Warriors. That's it.
It's hard to do.
It's hard to go back-to-back. And then the three-peat is even tougher.
Yeah, it's just you gotta be at the right place at the right time, and it's just a struggle. That's why I feel like this playoff might be their hardest playoff this year because of that.
It probably will. It'll be really, really tough because of that strain, and this is new for all of them except for Steve Kerr. And this is all brand new for Boogie. He's never been in the playoffs before.
Yeah.
But there's just so much talent on that squad. Like, I think the Clippers, as good as they are, for the lack of talent and how well they're coached, I don't see them having a shot to even get a game. I don't think they get a game. But
I think they're gonna surprise. I think they're gonna win one game. I don't think it's gonna be a sweep.
Okay. All right. Well, then we've got the number 2 Denver Nuggets, which was a shock to pretty much everybody.
I wasn't shocked. I thought they had a good team from the beginning.
Well, I knew they had a good team. I didn't think they're number 2 in the West good. Because like if you go to a casual person on the street who says they're a basketball fan, and you ask them, name me 3 players from the Denver Nuggets, they can't do it.
Yeah, that's true.
There's no star power.
And that's the beauty of that team. Is just
I love it. It's classic basketball. It's great team ball, and I think they beat the Spurs. yes, the Spurs have the experience with Pop, and they've got some experienced players. I think that this Denver team
It's
is.
too good.
I think they're also their makeup is different. The last time we saw Denver this good was with Melo and Billups.
Yep.
This Denver team is not as top heavy talent wise, but they're so balanced, and they seem to be really very even keel mentally. But
Yep.
I don't think they're going to be easily rattled, despite being so new to the playoff picture.
It's just with their squad, like you said, there's no superstar. It's just every piece works.
Yep.
Every player on that team has their purpose. They know their role on the team, and it makes it fun to watch. And it's great playoff basketball for a team like that. That you don't have one person that you need to take over a game. You know what I
Right.
mean? Everybody shares the ball. It kind of reminds me of like the early San Antonio team, a little bit.
Well, they always had a superstar.
They always had a superstar, but at the same time, the ball went around. Like when it came down to the clutch, you had unknown people that took advantage of the moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's how the Nuggets look. And they're a scary team. They are
a very scary team. People are sleeping on how good they are.
Yeah, their potential is limitless.
Well, I have Denver winning this series in 5 or 6. The Spurs are going to fight and fight hard, but I think that they definitely win this series.
Yeah, there's no match. It's definitely uneven.
Then we've got a couple really interesting series here in the middle. We've got the Blazers at number 3 Blazers and the number 6 Oklahoma City Thunder.
I think that's the best matchup of the whole entire first round. Just the two, top point guards in the league that's up there. And then you got McCollum that's back. You don't know what you're going to get from him since his injury.
Exactly.
And then also, Paul George has been balling out. So he's like MVP candidate worthy.
Paul George has had a fantastic season. And if it wasn't for the dip the Thunder took, he definitely, to me, he was my MVP until they started that slide. Yeah, until they started that slide, and he didn't pull him out of it. If he'd have pulled him out of that slide, he'd have been my hands down MVP.
I agree.
They are very dangerous, but they lost last year to a Utah team they had no business losing to.
I agree.
And they're also behind in seeding to that same Utah team, which they have there's no reason why they shouldn't be the 2nd or 3rd seed in this conference.
I agree.
They have that much talent. So the big question is which Russell Westbrook are we going to get? Are we going to get, I have to get my triple doubles Russell Westbrook, or are we going to get, I'm going to shoot 15 times, I'm going to get 8, 9, 10 assists, and Paul George is going to lead the scoring way. He's going to get 35. I'm going to have 22 and 8 to 10, and Steven Adams is going to get his double-double, and we win the game? Or is it going to be Russell got to get his triple-doubles, Paul is going to get only like 20 because he's not getting the ball in his spots and his rhythm, and Steve Adams is just going to get his hustle stuff, and we lose?
Yeah.
And that's the big question. Which Russell Westbrook are you going to get? Because if Russell takes the role as Robin, and he's not the Batman, he's not the man,
right?
They're a much better squad. They're a much better team when the offense flows through Paul and not through Russ. If Russ plays the point and plays it right, this team, they beat Portland, especially without Nurk. And poor Nurk with a broken leg, man.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Even with Nurk, though, they lose. The Portland loses if Russell Westbrook lets Paul be the man. Then they're not going to get stopped. I think, and I hope for their sake, because I enjoy watching, especially PG and Steven Adams play. I think Oklahoma City wins this series. It's gonna be 6 or 7 games, but I think OKC pulls this series out. Portland could win it because they're dangerous. They're really dangerous.
But what I'm worried about with Portland, I won't be surprised or shocked if they get swept because I still don't think they're over being beat by the Pelicans last year in the playoff. That's like they should have beat Pelicans.
Yeah, they should destroy the Pelicans.
They should have beat them, and I don't think they're over that yet.
Drew Holiday beat two dudes that are considered better than him.
Yes.
And he did that by himself. It was him and AD, and they beat a squad with three guys, except for, three dudes that were, Drew Holiday wrecked Lillard and McCollum. It wasn't even, he destroyed him. And AD was AD, but they definitely never should have lost the Pelicans. But that, to me, I think that was coaching, though. Like, part of that was coaching.
And that goes, like you were saying before, it goes to coaching.
Yeah, it goes to coaching.
Between the two coaches, who's the better coach? Is it Donovan or the other dude? Or is it a toss-up?
It's a toss-up. Because Billy, I mean, this is only his third season coaching the NBA.
Yeah, true.
Like, this is still a new thing for Billy Donovan. And granted, he's won his championships in college, but that's entirely different.
Totally different. Definitely.
Yeah. I think OKC wins the series. I wouldn't be surprised if the Blazers make a really good push because they've got CJ back. Dame is not the type of dude to lay down for anybody, so they're going to compete. But, like I said,
but I don't see him.
With the coaching being such a toss-up, I don't know if they can pull it out.
But the problem is, Dame is a great player, but I don't see him carrying the whole series on her back. He's not that type of player. I don't think he's ready to do that. I don't think he's on that LeBron level or that level where
don't forget he's done it before. I mean, he carried them over that series win against Houston when Houston had Harden and Dwight Howard only a couple years ago. Like he singled.
Come on, but I'm just saying, Dwight Howard. Come on. Dwight Howard.
They had James Harden, and Dwight Howard. And they still had a reason. They had that Houston team was good, and they didn't
want to beat Houston.
Well, Houston was a 3 seed that year, and I think Portland was a 6 seed, and Dame carried them through and beat the Rockets in that season. Like he's done it. I think he can do it again. It's just. I think the biggest difference in this is going to be the coaching. Which coach is going to be able to get their team to perform at the right times? Because to me, they're also pretty evenly matched. They match up well against each other, so it's going to be a fun series, which is why I think it goes 6 or 7.
But between the two, who you think has the better bench? Because I think bench plays a huge thing in the playoffs, and I think they're kind of even when it comes to bench.
They are even, and now the bench is weaker for Portland because of Nurk's injury. So I would say Oklahoma. I would give the slight edge to OKC because of Schroeder as well.
Yeah,
forgetting that's.
I think he could be the X factor. I think so.
Yeah, because I mean he's a starter. This is a former All-Star who was a starter in Atlanta, who would be a starter on most teams as a point guard,
especially the Knicks.
Knicks.
I digress.
The Knicks. I don't know why my Pistons didn't trade for Schroeder because the Oklahoma City gave virtually nothing away from him. They gave Melo away from him, so they gave anything away from him. You tell me my Pistons couldn't get Dennis Schroeder, and we could have it. Yeah, I digress.
Yeah. Let's move on.
But like that's a starting point guard on 80% of the other NBA teams.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
I think the Blazers of the Thunder pull this out. Then we got the Rockets and Jazz, which. On paper, the Rockets should win this series and it maybe go 5 games, 6 if Donovan Mitchell gets hot. But who knows what's going to happen? I have this sneaky feeling that this Jazz team could pull off the upset on the Rockets. The Rockets, to me, still haven't completely gelled. We don't know how healthy Chris Paul is. And defensively, we know how suspect the entire Rockets team is. It's with the exception of the couple individual players like Fareed who play defense. We know Harden don't play no defense.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Capella, what are we going to really get out of this Rockets team?
It's like Jekyll and Hyde. Like,
yes,
they'll probably win a game by 20, and then the next night lose the game by 20. And then I think what helps the Jazz is that they are an extremely good defensive team.
You got the best rim protector in the league.
Yes, so they can lock you down. The only problem is offense. I know that offense evolves through Mitchell, but at the same time, he can't do it by himself.
He
What
can't.
I mean?
No.
Rubio
He's not that good yet.
is a better shooter now than he was when he first came in the league. That's not saying a lot, but
that's not saying a lot at all.
Right. And then you had Exma. He got injured, so he's not going to be there.
Yeah.
So I think it's just going to come down to Harden and Donovan. Like, who's going to have the breakout game? The player that has the breakout game is that team is going to win. That's how I see it.
I'm going to flip that a little bit.
Or Chris Paul. If Chris Paul did what he did when he was in the playoffs with the Rockets last year,
right
before he got hurt, then I think the Rockets are gonna probably they're gonna crush the Jazz.
CP3 is the X factor. If he's healthy and he's playing well, the Rockets win because they're too top heavy between their guard play to lose. But if he's not healthy, and Harden has to keep doing what he's been doing all year, and it's tough because even if CP3 is healthy, if Harden is burnt out, which he may be, and it's because the defense of the Jazz is going to be a key with this because he's going to have to work even harder than he already has to work to get his bucket.
Great shot,
yeah. So he's going to be expending all this energy. How much energy is he going to have left after this 82-game season when he's been jacking up? So many threes, dribbling the ball 8 million jillion times. And then all the energy you have to expound to travel the way he does. I mean, come on. To take 4 steps on every step back, that takes a lot of energy.
That's why I'm thinking that if I was D'Antonio, I would make an adjustment. I would have him off the ball just for him to conserve energy because he conserve a lot of energy by having the ball because, he's ball dominant. He's got to have the ball.
But he's not as effective that way. He's not a catch and shoot dude. He's got to do his creative, his shuffling and all that.
I know, but, over time, you got to evolve as a player.
I agree with that. I 100%.
You know what I mean?
I 100% agree with that.
You have a longer longevity in the NBA is you do other subtle things where you don't have to have the ball in your hand all the time.
100% agree. But we have not seen that from James.
No, you're right.
If you take that, if you put him off the ball, do you know what you do? You bring back Oklahoma City James Harden, which was a 6-man. Still good.
Right.
But he was a 6-man. He wasn't the star. He wasn't this, the scoring monster. For him to get, from just again, based on what we've seen, not talking potential, but based on what we've seen, he has to dominate the ball to get his. He can't post. He's not a catch and shoot dude. He's not that versatile when it comes to his offense. He has to take his 18 dribbles to get his shot or to attack the rim. And that's going to be really tough when you've got whoever they have guarding him. And then if he's taken it to the rack, are you going to get it over Gobert?
Yeah.
And I see him, I can see him start to decline and get tired out.
And get frustrated.
Shots,
he's going to get frustrated. Yeah.
Yes. And we know how cold the Rockets can get when they're not hitting.
Oh, yeah.
So this is going to be a much tougher series than I think people are actually giving it credit for. I think because I want to see a competitive series in the second round, I would like to see the Rockets win, and I think they should win because of CP3, I think, being the X factor. But I would not be surprised if the Jazz made a lot of noise or even pulled out an upset in this series. But I'm going to say the Rockets win.
But also, I got to say, the X factor is going to be Gordon, too, Eric Gordon. He got to at least average, I would say, probably like 18 or 20 points a game. Because
he was big for them last year. He was a big reason why they were in it. Yeah.
Yeah, so he has to have a good series for them to win. Because if he doesn't, if it's just Chris Paul and Harden, it's going to be difficult to beat the Jazz with just those two.
Facts. All right. So if we look at the second round here, we're looking at the Thunder and the Nuggets, and we're looking at the Rockets and the Warriors, which is a dance we've seen many, many times.
Yes.
So in lieu of time, I'm going to say same as last year. The Rockets on paper have the best shot at dethroning the Warriors. I just don't think they do it. I think the Warriors are too locked in, especially since all signs point at this being their last dance with KD, and having Boogie, and adding Bogut back, and still having Livingston and Iguodala on their bench, with Looney being a serviceable player, with Bell turning into a better reserve than anybody expected. I don't see Houston. I don't see them winning the series. I think this goes 6 games because of the level of competitiveness and the rivalry that's grown over the past couple of years. But they're just not a better team.
And like you were saying, that when they picked up whatchamacallit, Bogut, I think that kind of that added to their bench, because they really didn't have a bench really.
And they haven't had a rim protector since they lost him.
Yeah, and so now you add him, and then you could kind of mix and match him with Boogie. Definitely. Now, and he's a great rebounder, and then he's a good passer, great passer too.
And one of the main reasons why they got him is because he's one of the best screen setters in the league.
Yes. He
didn't send them screens. I mean, Steph and Clay are free. It's bombs away.
Yeah.
And how do you stop that?
You can't. You can't stop it.
And people overlook how. Go ahead.
No, I was saying the only way is if they cold from 3, or if they're cold, because they're going to have one of those nights where they're going to be off. They're not making anything.
But then you still have Durant.
Yeah, you do. The 3-headed monster.
But people forget how big Bogut's impact was when he got hurt in the 2016 finals, because not only was the Draymond suspension ridiculous and hurt them, but Bogut's leg injury, then the Warriors lost the rim protector, so then LeBron could attack the rack, without anyone blocking him, and you lost that rebounding, and you lost those screen setting skills that Bogut had, which is another big reason why that 3-1 lead evaporated. He's a big pickup. People forget how good he was in his prime too. When this guy was the Bucks. Yeah, this guy was a multiple-time All-Star. He wasn't gonna go down as an all-time great, but this dude was no slouch either.
No, he wasn't.
He was a huge pickup for them. So the Warriors win that round. The Nuggets and Thunder really that's a toss-up, because talent-wise, the Thunder top heavier, Nuggets much more balanced, as we talked about before. I definitely could see this series going 6-7. And honestly, it's a toss-up to who wins. I think OKC should win, because they're the team that has the more experience deep in the playoffs. Russ has been to the finals. PG's been to multiple conference finals. They are the team that has the most experience. They should win a series like that. But Denver's been surprising people all season,
And I think it's just a fatigue factor too. How much minutes will Westbrook and Paul George play? You know what I mean? I think that's the key, because eventually you're going to get tired. And the one thing that Denver Nuggets have, they can replace pieces here and there. I think fatigue is going to be a big factor in that series. And if they don't sweep the Nuggets are going to win. They're going to win the series. Because if that series prolonged, then the Nuggets are going to win.
Okay.
They have to. They have to sweep the Nuggets. They have to. Because if not, then the Nuggets. If it goes to if it goes to a game 7, the Nuggets are going to win, because they're just too deep as a team. And I just feel like their coach is better. They have a better coach.
Wow. Okay. Now, here's a factor we haven't talked about. We're running low on time, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. But when it comes to this Denver series, there's one player that we haven't really talked about all season, because he's been hurt most of it, is Isaiah Thomas.
Yes.
So this is a guy He's on that Denver bench. We've seen what he did in Boston. We've seen what he did in Phoenix and say in Sacramento. Like we know he can fill it up.
Right.
If he's healthy coming off that bench for Denver, that is huge.
Yes, it is.
I mean, obviously, we know he's a defensive liability, but just scoring-wise, like there's no loss of scoring punch for Denver if he's able to be healthy and be a semblance of what he was in Boston or his previous stops. That could be just humongous for Denver, especially against the Thunder, who've got a great bench, but defensively their bench isn't the best. Schroeder's a good player, but he's a good defender. But when you got a guy like Isaiah Thomas, who essentially is just a super miniature shooting guard, you're going to have difficulty keeping him from scoring if he's able to be healthy enough. So that's a wrinkle that we're not people may be overlooking here.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So you think the Nuggets pull the upset off? I think the Thunder should win, but I think I'm going to ride dangerous. So I'm going to ride dangerous with you and go with Denver to face the Warriors in the conference finals. That being said, Denver realistically has no chance.
No, I agree.
I think getting to the conference finals is going to be what is going to be like Shaq in '94. I'm sorry, Shaq in '95 with the Magic. So happy that they
got there
finals and they got there. That they had their run. Everyone's gonna be impressed. They've learned a lot. They reload for next year because they can't stop Golden State. They just can't.
Because if they turn it on, I won't be surprised.
I don't think
I won't be surprised if they go undefeated going into the finals. If they really turn it on.
Oh, they could. Yeah, they have the talent to do it. I don't think they'll do it, but they have the talent to do it. They definitely have. I think they know from the past that turning it on that much wears them out before the finals. So I don't think that they'll go that hard to try to go perfect through the playoffs. But we'll see. It's gonna be interesting. But the Warriors win that series against Denver, hands down. They win that in 5 or 6 max. So then we're looking at a finals of the Warriors and between us, the Bucks and the Celtics. If it's the Bucks don't win. Like a lot of people really have been talking about how good the Bucks are, and I think they're good. I don't think they're good to beat the Warriors in 7 games. You have to beat that team 4 times. That's hard.
Yeah,
that's really, really hard to do. I just don't think they have enough shooting. I don't think they have enough of anything. And again, back to Budenholzer's coach. I don't think Budenholzer can outcoach Steve Kerr, or even Mike Brown on Steve Kerr's bench. I don't think he can do it. It'd be interesting if he proved me wrong.
But at the same time, they might give him a challenge because they did blow him out in Golden State. And they did have their full squad.
Yeah, but the Kings,
even though that was the beginning of the season, but
yeah, well, I think didn't the Kings blow out Golden State one game this year too? Like, and then Golden State went and beat Denver by like 40. Like, if the Golden State's playing like, and they're playing, it don't matter who you are right now.
But to that team, that adds a psychological, confidence.
It gets a confidence boost. Yeah.
But at the same time, the Celtics versus the Warriors is more of a compelling matchup because you have the history of the Celtics, and then you have the Warriors. That's the team of
now. They're the upstart.
Up now, yeah. Yes. So it's more of a compelling, and I think the NBA would love to have that.
Oh yeah. Oh, plus the other thing is the Celtics. Like I said earlier, the Celtics have had Golden State's number in the regular season. Over the past couple of years, I think if my memory serves me correct, I think they have a winning record against the Warriors over the past 3-4 seasons. So they know that they can beat Golden State, and that hasn't changed. Like I think if they were beating Golden State with Isaiah Thomas, they were beating Golden State without Isaiah Thomas in Boston. Like they know they can beat them. So it depends on whether they can do it over a 7-game span at the highest level, because obviously regular season ball is different from postseason ball, but they know that they can do it. And I think that confidence compared to one game early in the year is going to go a lot farther for Boston than it would for Milwaukee. So I think Milwaukee would get they would get a very rude awakening, a very hard wake up call that would because the Warriors know everything we're saying, obviously. So Steve Kerr's in there, like, you know what, guys, these Bucks are gonna be confident because they beat the brakes off us one game before we had Boogie, before we were, while KD was still kind of a little hurt, we weren't in our flow. We were still trying to rediscover who we are, and they beat us up, and they're gonna be confident about that. And I can just imagine Steve Kerr say, so tonight we're gonna go punch them in the mouth. We're gonna be in my 30, and we're gonna let them realize that they're in way over their heads. And if that scenario happens, because it possibly could, I think that breaks 90% of Milwaukee's spirit, and I think that just leaves Giannis there to fight and scrap. But I think that breaks mentally most of those other players. And to the fact that, like, we're out here, we're trying hard and we're competing, but we're really outclassed and we really have no shot. And I just can see that being the breaking point. Game one, they get trashed, and it's like, man, this is really over, isn't it? Like, can we give them the trophy now? Like this thing is really over, isn't it? Whereas Boston, it's Boston. You expect to win because you play for the Celtics. You have the most banners in NBA history. You're in the finals. You're expected to get it done. There's a higher fan expectation. There's a higher team and player expectation. And there's just there's a bigger swag there when it comes to, hey, we can beat these guys. And they're also, they're not afraid of them. Like, not that Milwaukee is, but I think Milwaukee can be broken mentally where they're not going to do that to this Boston team. Especially because they have Kyrie, who can be like, well, I already beat these guys. Obviously without KD, but he can be like, I beat these guys already.
I agree with you. I think that is the best matchup. Like, when you look at the roster, the Celtics versus Warriors, that's the best matchup. That's the one team I think the Warriors don't want to play in the finals.
Right.
But at the same time, I feel like
the NBA should want them to play.
The only way the Warriors will lose if they beat themselves.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only way I see it.
Yes.
If Draymond has another incident like he did previously, or something happens, or someone gets hurt, then that's going to kind of hurt their chance of winning the championship.
Yep.
So the only way they'll lose, especially 4 games, is if they beat themselves.
Yeah, that really is it. The biggest challenge of Golden State is Golden State. Yeah. And it's similar to the challenge the Bulls had. Are they going to beat themselves? Especially I think the first year, the second year they played Utah, because the second year they played Utah was more competitive, but the first year it was like, are they going to beat themselves?
Yeah.
And this year it's going to be for Golden State. It's like, hey, you've got 4 All-Stars. Are you going to beat yourselves, or are you going to close everything out? I just don't see them losing. I would definitely like to see them play Boston because I think it'll go 7 games.
I can see that. Yeah, I definitely can see that.
And Boston will be in every game. They're not going to get trashed, not going to get blown out. We would see some great. If this actually happens, which I think it's my prediction, it'll be Celtics Warriors. This would be one of those classic, going back to our showing our age. This will be those classic VHS, finals releases that the NBA used to, come out with, chronicling the drama of the series. And you hear, I forget who did the voiceovers for that. Would be like, in Game 3. Boston Celtics found themselves down 2-0 heading back, but the ghosts of Celtic past would rise. Kyrie Irving took over in the second quarter, and Jason Tatum, with an emphatic dunk to start the fourth quarter, got Boston within 5. And then Unknowns to everyone, Al Horford would hit a corner three to put the Celtics up 1 with 2 minutes left. But Kevin Durant, the Slim Reaper, would strike again, hitting a three from the top of the key to put the Warriors back up 2, and the Celtic faithful had their heads in their hearts, wondering what would happen next. But Kyrie Irving would make magic happen again with the crossover into the lane, drawing a foul and hitting a floater to tie the game up with 30 seconds left. Kyrie would hit the free throw, putting the Celtics up 1, and a shocking Steph Curry turnover where the ball goes through the hands of Klay Thompson would seal the victory for the Boston Celtics, and they're back in the series. Like I can
see. I can vision that.
You can see that. Like this would be one of those classic series that would go down as like this is one of the best NBA Finals. Period.
It has potential.
It has that potential to happen.
It does have potential. Yeah.
Exactly.
Definitely.
So, needless to say, as much as that great as that drama would be, we know the ending of the story pretty much. The ending of the story is Golden State wins. And,
right? Get ready.
as cool as the story of the book goes, the story ends with a Golden State Warrior victory, and they enter the upper echelon of NBA franchises with the amount of championships that they would have amassed. 4 recently, and then we would have the one they won back in the 70s with Rick Barry.
Yeah.
So it puts them at 5, which puts them into the San Antonio Spurs range. 1 back of the Bulls, which puts them, puts them in the upper echelon of franchises when it comes to championship wins, because most teams don't have, that many. I think the Sixers have 2. I know that the Pistons have 3. The Heat have 3.
3, yep.
We know the Bulls have 6. We know there's 17 in LA and 18 in Boston. The Rockets have 2. Dallas has 1.
Not too many teams.
Yeah, not too many teams got a lot of hardware. I mean, most of the hardware is in LA or Boston.
Yeah.
Portland's never won it. Seattle has 1. Forgot about that one that's 79. Phoenix never won it.
Nope.
The Pacers have never won it.
I thought Portland did with Bill Walton.
I'm sorry, that's right. Portland does have their 1. That's right. Bill Walton beat
and Ramsey was the head coach. Ramsey was the head coach.
Yes, Dr. Jack Ramsey was the head coach. Yes. I forget. The Sixers had no business losing that series.
Oh no. It went back to team ball.
I still can't believe the Sixers lost that series, man.
You still hurt by that? You gotta let it go, man. Let it go.
And Doc was killing them.
I know.
Oh, the Sixers never should have lost that. But then again, that was coaching. Dr. Jack Ramsey did a great job. Yes, Portland does have their 1. But most franchises, if they have 1, that's all they got.
Yeah.
The Knicks have 2.
Yes.
The Nets have none. Like you win, you get a handful of championships, and you're an upper echelon franchise. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens after the season with Golden State when moving to a new arena, being in San Francisco officially instead of being in Oakland, which I don't like that transition, but
no, they should have just kept that in Oakland.
You know why they're moving? They're moving because it's a money move.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it's a money move because all the Silicon, all the Silicon Valley guys act like they're basketball fans now, and go to Warriors games, and
I'm just saying that was like their Ebbett Field.
Yeah, it's gonna be different not being in Oakland,
and that sucks, man.
I concur. That's going to be a lot of revenue for the city of Oakland. That's not going to be there no more.
Isn't the A's team moving too? Oakland A's are moving the same area too.
The A's don't matter though. I mean, let's be real. they really. I mean, I was talking about this in the last episode with my boy Pat. We're looking at the baseball season. As great as Billy Bean's system is, and Moneyball and all that, it hasn't produced a championship. And to produce a championship, it doesn't matter. Oakland A's fans are still clinging to the glory days of, you know, Canseco and Mark McGuire and Dennis Eckersley, and like that's what they have to cling to.
Yeah.
The last time they were in contention, and Ricky Henderson, like that's all they got to cling to.
Yeah.
You know, that's the last time that they were really relevant. They had a little spurt here in the '90s with, you know, with Giambi and Tejada, but that didn't last long because the Yankees squashed that.
Yeah.
You know, like the Oakland A's ain't relevant. I'm just not relevant. But it's been a great episode. Big Ish, thank you so much for joining us. Before we end this episode, let people know where they can follow you, you know, on social media. You share a little bit about your radio projects if they want to, you know, catch you and your crew on those things. And so they know where they can find you.
Yeah, you know, I'm on Instagram like once in a blue moon. Just go to @lyric79, you know. Then also, you know, I do posts for David Daddy. David Daddy is this not-for-profit organization about showing love to fatherhood. Just do search, go to David Daddy, go to Facebook. That's the way you can go there, or Instagram, go @David Daddy. That's there. And then also I got my own personal Dad is the Now Instagram account, which is all about supporting the Black fathers out there, because, you know, the Black fathers need love.
Facts.
So, you know, just look that up. Go to @That Isn't a Noun. You'll see some wonderful content there. So check that out. Support that. And then right now we're on a long hiatus, but if you want to like check out some of the old shows, it's called the Chronicles of the Hip Hop Legend radio show, and it's just a show we interview rap artists about their journey. We've talked to people like Rockness Monster. We've talked to a bunch of people in the hip hop game. So, you know, just go to Facebook, go to Chronicles of a Hip Hop Legend, check out some of the previous shows. Hopefully we'll go back into the studio and do something real soon, hopefully. And then also there's an audio book called the Chronicles of a Hip Hop Legend audiobook. And it's like sci-fi. It's like, how can I say it? It's like hip hop meets Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
It's very intriguing. What I'll do is I'll send a link below in the comment as soon as my big bro right here posts the podcast, and I'll put the link on the bottom so you guys can check it out and support it. You know what I mean? Because I think it's important that you know, especially just as people, just to have something that's different from what other people are doing, and to add that element of sci-fi with hip hop is pretty awesome. And, you know, and it just embraces the Black nerd. You know, there's nothing wrong with being a nerd, man. Nerds, you know,
rule the world. That's right.
Look at Bill Gates. He's on top.
That's right.
You know, he's like the Jay-Z when it comes to nerddom. So, you know.
That's very true. There's nothing wrong with being a nerd. There's nothing wrong with being a jockey. When you're both, you're living that Jeek life, baby.
That's right.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you as always for listening to another episode of the original Jeek podcast. Your host, Rockinmrmagic here. So thankful for your love and support. Again, big thanks to my man Big Ish for coming on to the show today. We had a great time. Definitely gonna have to do it again. And until next time, peace.
Peace.